Good morning, everyone, and as we continue to observe COVID-19 social distancing and the no greater than 10 people in a single meeting, I will call this Paulding County Board of Commissioners called meeting to order at this time on May the 11th, 2020. I would like to ask Commissioner Chuck Hart to lead us in our invocation and pledge to the flag. Please stand.
Before we start, I wanted to point everybody back to Proverbs when we talk about a virtuous woman, and it was Mother's Day yesterday, and I just want to reach out and wish all these ladies, these pretty ladies, a happy Mother's Day, even though it's belated, and so thankful we do have some good mothers out there. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day. We thank you for all thy many blessings. Thank you for bringing us all here today, Lord Jesus. Lord, just help us as we navigate through this COVID situation. Lord, just be with us, Lord. If it be your will, just try to lighten this thing up on us, Lord. Help us as we try to create some solutions to government today. Give us the correct ways to step and help us to make good decisions, wise decisions. Lord, just reveal to us the things we need to know while making these decisions. Lord, thank you for everything you do. Be with us throughout the rest of the day. We pray for it in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for leading us, Commissioner Hart. Under the minutes, action to adopt the April 21st, 2020 special called meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes carries 5-0. We have no announcements. Under bid awards, number one is to award the audit services contract to Malden and Jenkins LLC, and Ms. Tabitha Pollard, Finance Director, is going to report.
Good morning. In 2010 was the last time we issued an RFP for audit services. That was awarded to Malden and Jenkins. We've used them for the last 10 years. And about 3 years ago, they began to audit the IBA as well as the airport, which works well efficiently because their financials are included in ours. This year, we went out for a bid, or went out for an RFP, which compares the service as well as cost. We had 2 participants. We've done business with both of them, Malden and Jenkins and Nichols and Cawley. The price difference over for the entire 3-year contract was $19.20, so $1,920 between the two, so it was very tight. We get a few additional services from Malden and Jenkins. They give us more assistance in CAFR preparation as well as continuing education. So I'm asking award of this 3-year contract with 2 options to renew, so it'll be could be a total of 5 years be awarded to Malden and Jenkins.
Any questions for Tabitha? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the audit services contract with Malden and Jenkins LLC.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. The one consent agenda item is action to approve the following. Adopt the fire department job classifications for number 1, a fire investigator, battalion chief, and number 2, an EMS division chief. And Mr. Frank Baker is going to report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here for Chief Pelfrey today. Due to the COVID-19 issues and the social distancing and numbers of folks, we've had to limit the department heads coming in. I know that Chief Pelfrey has been working with our HR department, Mr. Acker, in developing these job descriptions. And these two employees are definitely needed, or these positions are definitely needed. As the county grows, these are two areas that we definitely need more support in the fire department.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve, to adopt.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Moving on to new business, item number 3 is action to discuss and approve extending the lease with Georgia Highlands College to provide space for the library that's in the historic courthouse, and will be extended through June the 30th, 2021. The courthouse is located in Post 2. Ms. Pollard to report.
In 2015, we had a lease for some library space located at the historic courthouse. That lease was for 5 years, and they wish to renew, but there are a few issues that we want to work through, so we're going to do a 1-year renewal, and then we'll bring back a multi-year lease in the next year. So the lease would stay exactly the same.
Any questions from Tabitha? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
You need a motion, Dave.
I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion to approve by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Stover. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Item number 4 is action to discuss and authorize the chairman to accept and sign the documents to receive the CARES Act grant funding. That'll come through GDOT for our 5311 program in the amount of $170,832. Ms. Pollard to report.
About a couple of weeks ago, we received notification that the CARES Act passed by Congress included some transit funds. Those are coming to us through GDOT, and Paulding's allocation is $170,832. This grant, it comes with no match. The grant will come to us over the next couple of weeks, and they'll be looking for a turnaround. The time to spend is through June 30th, 2021. So this is just in anticipation of those funding, of those funds getting to us, but they are on their way.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to accept that grant.
Motion to accept.
A motion by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Stover. Is any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Item number 5 is action to discuss and approve the broker services and consulting agreement with NFP. And in Mr. Acker's absence, we're going to have our county administrator present this. So, Mr. Baker, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few meetings ago, this board took action to basically allow the HR department and the county to shift gears and to work with NFP to discuss our health care benefits and our ancillary coverage for our employees. That's been going on for a couple of months now, and we're now in the process of having a formal consulting agreement with them. And Mr. Acker has been working with our county attorney and myself on it. Both Mr. Phillips and I have reviewed it, and it's in your backup. So we're just asking at this time for action item for you guys to approve that contract and have the chairman, authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county. I don't know if Mr. Phillips has any questions or comments about it.
Nothing here.
The overall savings, let's go ahead and get a motion, and then under discussion I'll bring this up, information that was provided to me. Do I hear a motion to take action on this?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Under discussion, NFP, the brokerage firm, has communicated an overall cost savings for the 10-month renewal period in the amount of $748,971. This is a savings for the amount of the estimate renewal for this year of $86,364. And that information was just communicated this morning as the latest crunching of the numbers, if you will. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I did get the latest numbers this morning. I've been working on it this weekend and had some communication directly with the NFP folks. And where we were at, just so that the board knows and the community knows, that when we were originally looking at a renewal for this year, that amount was going to be about a little over $900,000 more than what the county paid last year. So NFP, working with HR and other folks, have been able to come back and provide us with the potential savings of that $748,000 plus. The $86,000 total that you mentioned is what really is going to be above what we paid last year. So it came down from $900,000 to the $86,000. So that's the increase from last year, is the $86,000. So I just want to make sure that all the board members and the public knew. So that's a considerable amount that was taken from the original estimate that we got towards the beginning of the year. We were looking at over $900,000 renewal over our rate from last year. So it's a pretty significant savings.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Any other questions? Okay, if there are none, we have a motion and a second. Take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Item number 6 is action to discuss and approve the July 1st, 2020 Employee Benefits Plan renewal and the related plan design and carrier changes. And Mr. Baker's going to fill in for this briefing also.
This action item is to specifically drill down and adopt what the benefit plan that we've already kind of mentioned. We kind of already talked about the savings amount, but this is going to be the renewal. It will be effective on July 1st for a 10-month period. There was a 2-month carryover in which NFP got involved with us, and we were able to extend the last year's amount, or last year's coverage for 2 months to allow them to help us get where we are today. We're going to begin open enrollment on June 1st with the effective date of July 1st with the policy, and the new policy would go into effect. This is the health care benefits for the county employees, which includes also dental and vision and life.
Any questions?
No, I got a comment though. You know, as you look at this thing, and we've had these severe increases, over the past couple of years. I know that things, there's been a number of variables, but if you remember back in the mid 2000s, I actually lived through this piece where when you don't get raises or something and your benefits go up, and we've been able to absorb those costs. But I can't tell you how glad I am to have somebody create solutions. And I think that it's very compatible, all the benefits, with the benefits that they had previous. I'm not going to say they're exactly the same. I haven't fine-tooth combed them myself, but I'm grateful that we're creating a solution, because we can't continue to go in that direction that we were in, and this is a good solution to that problem.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we
I'll make a motion, we approve.
okay. Mr. Davis made a motion to approve. I'll second that motion, and we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Item number 7 is action to discuss and adopt Resolution 20-14, approving transfer station tipping fees for the fiscal year 2021. The transfer station is located in Post 4, and Mr. Greene, our operations manager, is going to come forward and report on this.
Thank you for allowing me to present this today. I'm here on behalf of Bruce Coyle, our county engineer, and Tommy Leonard, our landfill and transfer station manager, as well as recycling. You may recall we had a rate increase for our hauling at the transfer station back in December that you approved. This is following another increase we had a year ago. So we have had back-to-back increases in our hauling costs. As y'all recall, everything household-wise as far as garbage that comes to our transfer station is hauled out of the county. We do not use our landfill anymore for refuse or anything of that nature. But as we've experiencing these increases back-to-back, we're needing to bring a rate increase for our charge to customers to you today. The last time we adjusted the rate was in 2017. We're also looking at some other things with efficiency of our operation. We've had some traffic issues. Tommy's group up there has done a yeoman's job trying to move the traffic, trying to do everything they can to manage it. But the bottom line is we have a little bit of a complex structure in our fee system, and so what we're bringing you also today is a simplification to go back to a one rate approach that we had prior to 2017, so that anybody that comes to the scale, we don't need to question their residency, check license plates, check their driver's license, which is actually problematic right now. And then we get into a lot of discussions about where the trash is actually coming from. So if son-in-law that lives in Cobb is hauling mom's garbage that lives in Paulding, it gets to be difficult as to what rate they actually should get. So we want to simplify to help Tommy's group move the line, reduce those discussions. Leading up to some other efficiency efforts we're looking at for the transfer station, but this is sort of a stopgap we're asking you to approve today. The rate we're asking for is $55 a ton. That is up for what we were charging in county, and it's down a little bit for what we were charging out of county. But I do want to point out that the out-of-county rates affect the in-county residents that use garbage services that are based in the other counties like Ackworth, Cobb County, Douglas County. So it's really complex to try to figure out exactly who would benefit from that dual rate system when all said and done. Lastly, the minimum tipping fee would be raised to $20. We spend a lot of time making change at the landfill for $10, $20 bills. We would ask you to approve raising that to a $20 minimum. We are likewise raising the minimum load weight that can be carried in for that amount, so that the essential cost per ton is the same or nearly the same as what it was. You can just bring a bigger load in, and that will get us out of changing hand to customer to hand dollars as much. So I appreciate your consideration of this item. I know that Tommy would greatly appreciate anything we can do to help his operation, and I was really working hard here lately. The pandemic, one of the unintended consequences is that we've been overrun with the people cleaning out their attics and their backyards and demoing and all kinds of home projects, so that they're bringing a lot of loads, 30-40% more on a daily basis. So this will help them move the line quicker. We did have a restricted number of days we operated for a short time during the pandemic. We're back to normal operating hours. So with that, we expect the lines to be less and everything to work better. Lastly, this would be effective July 1. We did institute the increase for hauling in January. We have a little delay. We're recommending to wait till July 1 to implement it. This gives the commercial services time to adjust and notify their customers. All that being said, I'd be glad to take any questions you have.
I'd like to thank Bruce Cole for his work on this and working with Tommy Leonard so that we could get these corrections that will help us function a lot more efficiently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, I just got a comment. This is something in my wheelhouse. My company goes in and out of a lot of transfer stations. And when I was going through the budget and the numbers, operating in the red just because we're government shouldn't mean that's a good thing. We shouldn't be, the taxpayers shouldn't subsidize the rate at all. The average price of transfer stations around the county is about $60 a ton, and we're looking at $55 a ton. So that's going to bring us up, hopefully, right around break-even point for the transfer station. But the $45 a rate, $45 a ton is old prices that hasn't been around in a long time as far as other communities. So, I know it seemed like it's a jump a few years ago and jump again now, but it's the cost has increased tremendously over the last few years of transportation and insurance and everything like that. So the haulers hauling it out to the landfill operators that the trash goes to. So I just wanted to kind of clarify and just say, we're just not throwing numbers out there. Me and Scott spent a lot of time talking and looking and digging into this. So we didn't want to go up too much, didn't want to go up enough. So we hit a rate at 55, and I feel like that's going to work for a little while. So.
Thank you. I do appreciate Commissioner Stover's assistance in vetting some of these numbers for us. Thank you.
Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 20-14.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Stover and a second by Commissioner Hart. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Item number 8 is action to discuss and adopt Resolution 20-15, approving the receipt of the CARES Act grant for Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport located in Post 2. Mr. Baker, report on this. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here for Mr. Tibbetts. He had requested this action item for today. He and I have had several discussions about it, so I just want to let everyone know a little bit more about it. The CARES Act is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And in this particular case, our own airport here in Paulding County, the Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport, Mr. Tibbetts, on behalf of the airport, put in for a grant and has been awarded a grant in the amount of $30,000. And what the process is that his board would have to accept it, and also this board would have to accept it. And so that's the action item here, is that the grant has not been received. We've gotten the grant, or they've gotten the grant, and the action item is, again, for this board to take up receiving it, because the award will actually go to us and then be transferred over to the airport.
Did you mention any match or anything like that?
I'm glad, Commissioner Davis, thank you for mentioning that. This was zero match. Typically with grants, there are a county match. Typically it's 10%, something like that. In this particular case, there's absolutely zero match grant. So there's nothing here for us to have to match. And this is based on loss of revenue that has occurred in fuel sales and rentals and leases and things of that nature, in trying to secure funding to help with ongoing expenses with personnel cost. So that's the rationale behind these grants to the airports.
Other questions?
I have one. Are they limited in what they can do with this grant money?
There is some limitation. Obviously, it has to be for operational and salary. That's the main thing that that they were trying to do with this is to make sure that the folks out there and at all the airports that receive these grants would be able to continue to pay their employees. So there are some limitations with it.
Hey, great report, good questions. I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 20-15.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? 5-0. Item number 9 is action to discuss and authorize the sale of approximately .04 acres of excess reservoir property east of Highway 61 pursuant to County Ordinance Section 20-01. County Attorney Mr. Phillips to report.
Commissioners, at our last, one of our last meetings, you approved a new procedure for the county to essentially sell small, irregularly shaped pieces of land that are essentially left over from either a DOT or some other construction-related project. What we're asking for here is that a .04 acre parcel that is part of the original reservoir acquisition, but which is no longer needed for reservoir purposes, be authorized to be treated under this new ordinance. If you approve it, we'll send notices out to the adjoining landowners. They'll then have an opportunity to bid on this particular .04 acre piece. Happy to answer any questions you'll have.
It's like a postage stamp piece of property there, isn't it?
It's a triangle on the east side of 61, which is not, the reservoir is on the west side, but it came as part of the original acquisition.
Questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to...
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That carries 5-0. Number 10 is action to discuss and approve the purchase of 2 aluminum culverts for the culvert replacement project on Swan Drive over Davis Mill Creek in the amount of $300,324 to Contech Engineered Solutions. It's located in Post 3. Mr. Greene to report.
Great, thank you for letting me present this item for DOT today. I do have a lot of background on this site. I've worked with Carrington Point HOA going back 10, 15 years. And part of this was the issue we had during the flooding of '09 where these culverts overtopped that we're talking about. We also have 2 culvert systems that are approaching 30 years old, and they're due for replacement either way. But in looking at the way these culverts were installed originally, the multi-barrel culverts are a maintenance headache for us. So early on, when I was still at DOT, we looked at a bridge crossing to allow free flow of the creek, and it's more environmentally beneficial to expose the creek bottom, and nowadays that's what we try to do. But this is a case of try again. We prepared design for 2 bridges at this location, put it out for bid, and the bids came in cost prohibitive, over $2 million, I understand. That's what the bid price on these were. So DOT went back to the drawing board and investigated some other culvert systems that would form like an arch culvert is what we're talking about. We've used arch culverts on previous projects that were actually in the similar cost range of bridges, but those were large concrete precast structures. We use those on East Hiram Parkway and on Seven Hills Connector successfully. And in this case, DOT investigated and found aluminum arch culverts that could be installed in a prefab system. You can order them off the shelf, and then you install them in the site, put them together. And they're lightweight, and they can be placed easily with lighter equipment. You don't need a large crane. And it's aluminum, so it's corrosion resistant, which is what we want, and similar to the concrete product that we'd prefer in this location. These are large culverts spanning 33 feet or so, The existing system that's out there, the barrels add up to, at each location, 18 or 20 feet, but they're just not carrying the water appropriately, and then, as I mentioned, the debris, when it accumulates on these culverts, it quickly can overtop without any warning. Swan Drive is a dead-end road on one portion that these two culverts carry traffic on, and when that road goes underwater or there's a problem, it's going to cut off a lot of residents. So this will be a lot more durable and reliable as well. And DOT has experience with this culvert system at School Road and Quail Ridge Road recently, and it worked out very well, such that when we've looked at this cost now, we're looking at cutting the price quite a bit. I think I mentioned it was over $2 million when we bid this before. We are also taking this step to reduce the time to go to contract. We've got a separate project out for bid right now that's going to open on Friday for the labor and equipment to install these culverts. But the culverts themselves have a 5 to 7 week lead time. So we're going to go ahead, if you're approving this today, and get that order in shortly, so that when we're working with the contractor to get the contract in place and get them mobilized, we'll go ahead and start that lead time so that we'll have it available to them in a quicker order so they can go to work sooner. Also ordering from the county directly, we have some benefits there. I believe we get a deduction in the sales tax. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you have, and I appreciate if you would approve this for DOT.
No question, but a comment here. I do appreciate how y'all worked on that. I remember when that came up and y'all were talking about the bridge, and then, y'all come up with a solution. Once again, just a great job of cutting cost on this.
Thank you. The last estimate I've seen would bring the cost of the project down to about $1 million. And that sounds like a lot, but these are major creek crossings. We can spend easily $1 million on a major creek crossing like this, and this is going to get it down to about $500,000, we believe, per site, which is right at half the cost we were looking at when it was bid out turnkey originally. We'll have better news for you hopefully at the next meeting as far as the contracting part of this. And previously, y'all have awarded the water line relocation, and which has proceeded on. We appreciate the water system cooperating with us on this project.
Scott, you mentioned 30 years was the current culvert being there 30 years, and what's considered the life of the aluminum culverts?
We're getting pretty frequently 20 to 30 years out of a culvert before the bottom completely rots out. And unfortunately, we typically find the situation during a heavy storm when the pressure is very high on a culvert, and then we have a catastrophic failure like we did all over the county in '09. We do inspect, and we've found that even the galvanized culverts, which have a corrosion resistance on them, even with the bituminous coating and the paved inverts that we had used, that a lot of those still have rotted out in about 20 years. So it's very common to have this situation occur, particularly in the live streams. We get the deterioration now. Nowadays we use concrete in all cases where we have flowing water, and shouldn't have that problem as much going forward. Thank you for your questions.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to purchase these two aluminum culverts.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Sure is working out a lot better with everybody in the room, isn't it? Compared to last month or last meeting.
What'd you say?
What was that? I can hear you, but I can't hear Chuck.
That's not a bad thing.
Item number 11 is action to discuss and authorize the chairman to enter into a contract with Advanced Sports Group for the construction of synthetic turf playing area at the Brawley Sports Complex at a cost of $1,139,839.86. It's located in Post 4. Mr. Justus is outside, but again, for the maximum 10 people. We'll ask Mr. Baker to report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I actually present this, I just want to let everyone know that we have been really diligent in trying to bring forward the business of the county during COVID-19. And so we've evaluated things that have been pressing, things that had time-sensitive elements on them. And this is one thing that we've been working on for quite some time. And I see now that Mr. Justus has come in and we are under the 10. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him. But I just want to make the point to not only the board but also the community that this project is something that Commissioner Stover, myself, and Mr. Justus have been talking about for several months. And so that's why it's being brought forward today. And I'm going to turn it over to Michael. I appreciate you being here, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see all of you. As Frank alluded to, this is a project that has been around for a little while. It was also mentioned heavily in our master planning efforts that we did last year. The proposed project is to be done at the Brawley Sports Complex. It's an old landfill. We do experience some issues out there with settling, with drainage, with irrigation. All those things can be eliminated when we go this route. It'll help us as far as expenses go with manpower and with chemical applications, with mowing, things of that nature. Lifespan on these are probably 8 to 10 years before you have to look at resurfacing. So it's a little bit pricey on the front end, but when you look at what you get in the end, it is well worthwhile. Also will allow for more play than we normally get. You get some, fairly substantial rain, you could lose, 2 or 3 days worth of play, not to mention the number of teams that can't get out there at that point in time. So, drainage issues are addressed underneath these fields, and you can play on them 10 minutes after it quits raining. We'll put hash marks on them for additional sports, and the soccer folks and the lacrosse folks can use them for varying age groups as well. We wanted to do 3 to start with and just make one great big area and turf the whole thing. Some trash issues have kind of put that aside, so we'll only be able to do 2 with this project on that area. This is a project that's in post 4, excuse me. It is SPLOST funded, and it is a national co-op group, which has already been vetted for us, which means we don't have to go through the normal bid process. It's also the same group that did the fields for us at Burnt Hickory. Any questions? I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
After the 8 to 10 years of recovering, what's the typical cost?
It's just the carpet, at that point. Nothing anywhere near, what the initial construction is.
And I think you already mentioned it, but the striping plan, it would be multiple sports.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And multiple ages even.
Yes, sir. And you can use a non-permanent paint, on there that'll wash off. So, if our hash marks that we put on there don't accommodate what they have, then we can always lay some lines out there to accommodate some other groups. I should mention that, it is the same group, but that is Shaw Sports Turf and Advanced Sports Group, and both of those are, metro area folks. And I think several of the employees from Advanced Sports Group also live here in Paulding County.
Yeah, thank you for informing us of that.
Yes, sir.
Always like that. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to go with this synthetic turf.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second? I'll
Second.
make a second by Commissioner Caker. Any more discussion?
We did confirm that was SPLOST, right? We did
Yes, sir.
We did say that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, we'll vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
New business number 12 is to adopt Resolution 20-16 confirming, that's when we come back in, yeah. Okay, let's just say that that's the conclusion of our regular business, and we do have need to go into executive session for personnel, so I would need to get a motion for us to go into executive session for personnel.
I'll make that motion, Dave.
Motion by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned into executive session. Okay, I'll call the regular session back to order and report that no action was taken in closed session. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn regular session.
I think we need to vote on action, on number 12, Dave.
Need to do that?
The action to adopt the resolution.
Yeah, I'm used to that 2 o'clock meeting, aren't I?
Yep.
All right. Final new business item is number 12, an action to adopt Resolution 20-16, confirming executive session for the purpose of personnel. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Mr. Davis to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0 and 1.
401.
Carries 4-0 and 1. Okay, that is the conclusion of the new business, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn by Commissioner Davis. I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 4-0 and 1. We stand adjourned.